issued by Governor Cooper. Members of the NWBE Citizen Advisory Committee are participating virtually. All members will vote by roll call. A member will be recognized, at which time the member will state his or her vote. And I'll turn it over to Jakir for the initial roll call.
Yes. So good afternoon, members of the committee. I'm going to call the roll for the MWBE Citizens Advisory Committee meeting being held today, August 24th at 4:30 via Zoom. So Vice Chair Leah Metz.
Present.
Committee Member Cassandra Brunson. Committee Member Drew Gertzmeyer.
Here.
Committee Member Cornelius Graves. Committee Member Jordan Gwynn.
Here.
Committee Member Stephen Hemrick. And Committee Member Ethel Witt. Committee Member Ethel Witt. You're on mute, I think.
So sorry, here.
You're fine. And then Committee Member Cassandra Brunson just joined the meeting as well. So in addition to the committee, we also have on the call Hannah Hernandez with the Office of Business Inclusion and Advancement, Alex Bohannon, who will be joining the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So we have definitely enjoyed Alex with the MWBE program, and we'd like to thank him for all of his work on our program. And so Alex, I'm just gonna also announce that Larry Bell with the marketing department is on the call. And if Alex, if you would like to share any words, feel free to do so.
I want to thank all the committee members for all of your hard work. It's been an absolute pleasure working with everyone these past 2 years. I'm just super excited about the work that's to come. So I want to just thank everyone, and I appreciate it.
Well, and Alex, thank you for everything that you've done for us. You've certainly made it easier on us, especially with the PowerPoints. So thank you and congratulations on the new role.
Definitely. Thank you, Alex.
So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Vice Chair Metz, for the agenda and approval of minutes.
Sure. If we can get a motion for the approval of the agenda and also the past meeting minutes.
This is Jordan. I move to approve the agenda for today's meeting and the minutes from our last meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll do a roll call vote. So Vice Chair Metz.
Yes.
Committee Member Cassandra Brunson. I think she may have dropped off.
She said her audio wasn't working, so hopefully she's coming back.
Okay. Committee Member Drew Gertzmeyer.
Yes.
Committee Member Jordan Gwynn.
Yes.
Committee Member Ethel Witt.
Yes.
Let's see. That motion will not pass until I get the confirmation from Cassandra once she joins the call. But we can proceed and get that confirmation later.
Cool. So I'll turn it over to you and Alex.
Okay, so again, good evening, everyone. We have two good faith efforts that we will evaluate this evening. And Leah, it's so interesting that you mentioned the PowerPoints, because tonight I'm actually working from a new laptop, and so I don't have the PowerPoints for you, but I have the good faith effort documentation. But one of the reasons why we started to do the PowerPoints is because the good faith efforts would come in and they would be a little bit less organized. But luckily tonight we have good faith efforts that are organized relatively well. So the process will be really streamlined. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. This good faith effort that we are about to evaluate is first for the City Hall roof project. And this is the affidavit D that was submitted. Now, you all may recall that City Hall roof actually, not City Hall Roof, Owens Roofing submitted a good faith effort previously for this project. This project was rebid, and Owens Roofing was successful again as well as the parent bidder. And so they have submitted another good faith effort with some changes from the first time that they submitted it, although the actual bid, the actual amounts of their subcontracting did not change. So this is their affidavit D that they submitted that has $800 going to BCO, $400 going to Piedmont Portables for portable toilets, and then $414 of lumber from network distributors. And just to let the committee know, this project is a little bit special because it is to replace the roof on City Hall. And so the majority of this project is masonry. And so because of that, it's a little bit different. I know that some committee members may be concerned about the amounts of the subcontracting on this, but the actual scope of the project is a variable. So I did want to just make you all aware of that. So beginning with item A.
Hey, Alex, can you share with us what the M&W goals were and then what they are presenting to us?
Sure. The goals for the project were established at 7% and 4%. But here, even though those amounts are there, and those amounts are relatively low, it actually ends up being closer to 0 and 0 because of just the percentage points and the size of the bid and the percentage points. Just when you break down the math, it ends up being closer to 0 and 0 because it ultimately is only $1,600 out of the total amount of the project. So for item A, did a company representative attend the pre-bid meeting? Did they put a cover page in here saying that they attended the pre-bid? This document here is an email that was sent out to all bidders that has them on there as attending. So for item A, they would receive the full possible 10-point allocation for item A. Any questions there? For item B, advertising in social media. They, on their cover page, they indicated that they advertised, and they said that they advertised, they provided documentation for advertising in LinkedIn and advertising on Facebook. And then they indicated that when speaking with the MBE Citizens Advisory Committee during the May 25th, 2021 meeting, I was asked if I advertised on social media. I didn't realize this was an option. We have since created a Facebook page and used our LinkedIn to solicit for Winston-Salem City Hall roofing project. Those of you may remember that conversation that was had where the suggestion was made to them to do this. And I think that, although we don't see the usage of social media too often, I do recall the conversation where they were encouraged to do that. And so when, previously with their good faith effort, they did not advertise anywhere. And so that was feedback that they received. And so let me pull up their documentation. This is from their Facebook page. I'll try to make this a little bigger, where they created their own Facebook page and then they posted a link to where they've advertised the project in LinkedIn here. And then let me pull up their LinkedIn ad. This is an ad that they posted on June 25th. This was for the rebid. Where they've talked about the job and the details of the job and things of that nature. So relative to this item, are there any questions?
So we're just seeing the two mediums that they've used then?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can award them a total of 10 points out of the possible 15. For item C, did your company provide written notice to a reasonable number of specific MWBE firms? They need to provide proof that they.
Hey, Alex,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I froze up on you guys a little bit and I did not catch the end of item B.
They used two mediums, so they would receive 10 points.
They did, okay. And so Facebook is acceptable?
Facebook is acceptable. I would also say, though, that this is sort of a situation where they were told during their last evaluation by members of the committee, they were encouraged to use social media as a potential for reaching out if they were having some issues. And so, it's one of those things where, that was something that was provided, that was feedback that was provided to them. And so they sort of followed through on that. So that's also, additional as well.
Yeah, I know I mentioned LinkedIn before in one of my recommendations to one of the bidders. And I don't know, I didn't know where those fell in line or whatever, but okay.
Yeah. Well, because we don't see it too often, but that doesn't mean, I think what I always do is I ultimately ask the question, what is the spirit? The spirit of the good faith effort evaluation is to provide contractors an opportunity to reach out, right? And so if they're using whatever platform that they, to reach out to whomever, I think that certainly counts.
Okay, good enough for me.
Mm-hmm. So for item C, this is where we take a look at their solicitation letter. It has to be sent out 10 days before bids are due. They have to include a specific description of the work as well as a location, date, and time that a person who to contact and a date that the bids are due. Here they submitted email solicitations. And they did it based on trade. So that's why this document is really long, because they sent the same letter, but they sent it to different people based on the different trades in the project. So here you have an email that was sent on June 22nd, which is 10 days before bids were due. And this is to a number of firms that are at temporary facilities and controls. They have a bid date in here. They have a location where plans can be viewed and a contact as well. So all of those requirements are met here. So for item C, they would receive the full point allocation. For item D, this is concerning their follow-up. Did you follow up with these firms to ensure with certainty that they are willing and available to participate? Here's their call log that they submitted. And it has, it's very detailed. So it has whether or not, it has notes where they've reached out multiple times. So it's the first one, Sterling Construction Services Incorporated, they're Hub certified, and it has multiple notes where they sent them emails, they requested to connect on LinkedIn, they called and they were redirected, and then they connected with someone, and then ultimately they got a message back and said they weren't interested. What you'll notice here for this project is that they reached out to a number of people, but because of the nature of the work, they weren't really successful. But this is very detailed, and it has, all of the points where they've reached out, which is what we want to see for this item. So for item D, the full point allocation is certainly appropriate. For item E, how did your company identify and select portions of the work to be performed by MWBE firms, including where appropriate, breaking down the work into economically feasible units? Here in their cover letter that they've attached, they've said that they've basically given us a description of the firms that they've reached out to based on trade, and they've told us what firms they didn't receive any quotes from. But really, you know, what we like to see here is not necessarily a statement around where you got quotes from or not, but more so what's in your solicitation letter. And so I'll bring that up just so you all can see. We want to see in the solicitation letter a statement around, you know, we are willing to break down the work into economically, into feasible units. We are willing to take a portion of the bid or, a portion of the work, to be able to make that a little bit easier. Now, this is the rub with this particular project, is that you can't really piecemeal roof replacement in that way. So, for instance, the masonry portion of this project is the majority of this project. And so what's desired is not to have a bunch of different masonry companies working on the masonry. You want to have one company do that. And so here for the City Hall roof project, it's a little bit more difficult to get that done. And so perhaps I think that's the other piece of, in the context that I think that we have to consider when we evaluate the projects, because it's for projects like these, it's just a little bit different. But within their invitation that they sent out, they don't have a statement to the effect of them having to break down the work into economically feasible units. But to me, I feel like that is mostly because it doesn't work for this particular project. Are there any questions about that? Okay. For item F, explain how you provided interested MWBE firms with equal access to plan specifications and requirements of the project. So within their solicitation here, it says all plans and specifications can be viewed by coming to our office or via email. The via email is extremely important, because if they would have said by coming to our office, that would not have been equal access, because their office is located in Smithfield, North Carolina, and the project is in Winston-Salem. So they would receive the full point allocation because they made it available via email. Are there any questions about item F? Okay. Item G, this is where we asked for the quote comparison. And again, I will just share with you that this does not look as plentiful as what we normally see, and that's due to the scope of the project. But this is really good to show you, because as you can see, the masonry portion of this project is monumental, right? It's huge. The masonry portion of this project, the quote that they received was they only received one quote. That is for $721,000. If I'm remembering correctly, this bid was around 800, a little over 800. So that's the overwhelming majority of the project. And so there really wasn't a whole lot left to be able to sub out. And so then you have the quotes that were listed. All of the other trade areas have been covered by MWBEs. It just is the amount of work that was there for those MWBEs was not there for this project. And the subcontractor quote comparison kind of bears that out. Are there any questions about the quote comparison?
Alex, hey, this is Jordan. I'm just curious, what kind of roof does City Hall have? Do you know?
I do not know the answer to that.
Yeah, that's fine.
My understanding, though, is that because the building is older, the building's over 100 years old, there's some it's some kind of special type of roofing that can't be done commonly.
Okay, it might be slate or something. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so just to be clear, for item G, they would receive the full 25-point allocation. For item H, what services were used from the city's Winston-Salem's MWBE office, community organizations, or other groups to assist in the recruitment and retention of MWBE firms? They utilized the hub office. In their letter, they stated that, and then they utilized the City of Greensboro's website as well. I want to, they put it in their cover letter, but normally what they did was they made a statement here to that effect, and then they talked about how they reached out about their previous good faith effort to me, and I spoke to the person who's in charge of I think it's Bert, who is the president of Owens Roofing, and so the person who prepared the good faith effort was not that person. So I wanted to just make sure that, because it says they didn't get a response, they did get a response. Normally what we ask for this item is we ask them to submit like a screenshot or something to that effect to sort of prove that they've utilized the website. But one of the reasons why I would say that this could potentially suffice is because you can screenshot, you can go and take a screenshot at any point, of anything. And I think that, normally what we would do is, for this item, when I spoke with them on the phone, we talked about their usage of the hub website. That was a recommendation that I made to them personally over the phone, so I can vouch for the fact that they've utilized the hub website. Any questions about item H? Item I, this item concerns how does your company provide assistance in needs of loan capital lines of credit or joint pay agreements? In their letter, what they said was that they use joint pay. They used to do joint payment for assistance, but they had a subcontractor using their agreement on other projects after they closed their agreement out. And they said but because the supply company was going through a merger with another company, our cancellation agreement wasn't put into their system, and they ended up having to pay for materials not pertaining to the job that the subcontractor purchased. And so they said now, because we have a materials bond, subcontractors can go against that through the owner if we don't pay them. We have no problem paying the supply companies directly for our subcontractors, which we have done in the past, and felt this gives us better protection than having to rely on others to account for what is purchased in our company name. We have also paid 50% up front in order for the subcontractor to work on the projects. In order to keep a project running smoothly, paying our subcontractors is key to getting our jobs completed in a timely manner. So relative to item I think that this is something that you all may want to question, may want to question Betty about when she joins the call, because although they're saying that they don't do joint pay, what they're saying here is that they do provide other forms of assistance. So you may want to just ask some additional questions about that. Are there any questions about item I?
Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Cassandra had asked, what did you say for letter H? What was the?
Oh, the total was the two full agencies, the 10.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. For item J, this item covers bonding or insurance. They said we do not require our subcontractors to provide bonding. We take the risk that their work will be accurate under our own bond. Bonding companies require review reviewed final statements, which can be a financial burden for some companies. We do not put that burden on our subcontractors. We have $1 million allocated on our insurance policy for uninsured subcontractors. Therefore, we do not require MWBE subcontractors or suppliers to provide us with their COI. If they have a COI, we do not require them to name us as additionally insured because this is an added cost to their insurance premium. And then they submitted a part of their email where they said in their solicitation they do not require bonding or insurance. And so because of that, they received the full possible point allocation for item J, which is 20 points.
Is it 20 or 25?
Sorry, it is 25. I was looking at item I. My apologies. For item K, 0 points. They don't do joint ventures. And then the last item for item L, which concerns quick pay, they said we offer quick payments to all our subcontractors, whether they are non-MWBE, MWBE or non-MWBE. To keep a project running smoothly, subcontractors and suppliers need to be paid quickly, which most often is the day of service, unless the owner has a problem with their work, and then 10% is held back. All of the MWBE subcontractors we have dealt with get paid on a weekly basis if they are working long-term. And if it's for one-day service, most often that day. This practice helps to ensure that they will keep quoting on our projects. So that's their statement relative to quick pay. Now, I would say that, if you have any questions about this policy, please feel free to ask Betty when she joins the call. But one of the things that I would say is that we for smaller companies like Owens, we tend to not see these types of policies. So I think that this is a really good thing that they're doing by providing the service to subcontractors. And I think the way that they're able to do that is because they're smaller. Larger companies, because they have so many projects going on, they can't really, they have to have definitive every 2 weeks or every month. We kind of have to pay. So I think this is one of the sort of benefits of being a smaller firm. But now that we are done, with the formal, does anyone have any questions about the good faith effort before we admit Betty?
Alex, I'm sorry, I missed E and F. I think I got those mixed up. Could you give me E and F again, the points on that one? Sure.
Item E and F, they both received the full point allocation.
Oh, okay, that's what I wasn't sure. Okay, thanks.
Of course. So I'm going to admit Betty into the call, and you all can ask her questions. Hey, Betty, can you hear us? Or me? You're on mute.
Unmute. Okay.
Okay, there you go. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So we just the CAC, the Citizens Advisory Committee, has just finished reviewing the materials that you submitted, and now we just want to provide an opportunity for members of the committee to ask any questions that they have for you.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions for Betty?
Hey, Betty, it's Leah.
Hi.
We see that your notes about not providing joint assistance, and it sounds like that has not gone favorably. I'm trying to think how to state this question. I realize that you have to put protections in place to protect your business, but do you think at any point in time that you would go back to doing joint assistance, or if an MWBE, I guess my question becomes, are y'all pretty much upfront with MWBEs to say that you'll purchase materials for them, and then would you purchase them from who they would want you to purchase them from?
Yes, definitely. We've, this same person, he was an electrical contractor. And even though he gave us so much grief with the joint, we still hired him on other projects. We just told him that we can't do joint anymore with him, but we'd be happy to buy him the materials up front since, to help him out. And that's worked well. That way our credit's not, being affected by us trying to help out the subcontractors. So, and most of the time, all of our subcontractors are mainly the labor part. We provide the material anyway for the job sites because most of our jobs are just roofing. When it comes to electrical, we haven't had, we can't provide that material, but we can just write the check to the supplier for them. And we've done that.
Okay, so it sounds like you'll work pretty willingly with the MWBEs to help them get the supplies.
Oh, definitely. And then when we meet people and we ask them if they are an MBE and they say no, then we tell them they ought to, because they're really good at quality work. It'll, boost their business. And then we direct them to the right people to talk with. And we've done that in the past and they really appreciate it. So I think their business increased because of it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Betty, this is Jordan Gwynn. I'm a member of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and I understand the scope of this project is pretty limited and narrow. So I understand it's a bit tricky to meet participation goals here. But I did just want to commend you all. I know last time your company came to us for item B on the affidavit around advertising. You all hadn't really done a lot of those activities. And I see this time, you all have taken steps to really enhance your all's focus on advertising. So I just wanted to commend you all on the work that you're doing there. I know this one's a bit tricky. So thanks for that.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for giving us the suggestions the first time. We didn't know how to go about doing it. We tried to look online to see anybody else doing it. And we just went to, I know with LinkedIn, I have a lot of contractors on there. And so we figured if we put an advertisement in LinkedIn and then made a Facebook page and connected the two, then maybe we would get some hits off of that. But we haven't. It seems like the scope of work, people just weren't interested. I'm not sure if it's because of the material supplies situation where people are having a hard time getting materials. The lead time is really long. So it's been tough out there for some people. So. But if you have any other suggestions, other social networking sites, I saw on one when I was looking at it that there's a paper in Winston-Salem we could have advertised to, but I'm not sure how, how that actually, how many people that actually gets to. So.
Yeah, Betty, we'll get you that information for the newspaper.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Are there any additional questions from the committee? Hearing that there aren't any, thank you, Betty, for joining us this evening. And Alex will follow up with you via email.
Okay, sounds good. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And now I will turn it back over to you, Alex.
Thank you. So the last good faith effort that we will evaluate is for the Easton Park Restrooms project. And this good faith effort was submitted by Bar Construction. So what they've done is they first have, they've provided a sort of cover page to address all of the items. And then after that, they've sort of followed in order like we would normally. And I want to first pull up their affidavit D so that you all can see that. For this project, they are going to utilize Night Chow, which is a minority-owned firm that is they're going to utilize them for utilities at $30,000, and then they will utilize MLA Design Group for about $5,000. The MWBE goals for this project were 7% and 4%.
So the goals were that, but what did they actually come out with?
So I don't have that information, and in part because the Bar Construction was not the original bidder on this project. It was Creative Designs, whose good faith effort you all evaluated last month. But my understanding, and Jakira can provide some additional information, was that there was something happened to where now that Bar's been awarded the project. So Bar had to submit their good faith effort with a relatively quick turnaround. So I don't have that specific information for you yet. Jakira, do you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So it was Creative Design, so they withdrew their bid, and so the next apparent lowest bidder, like Alex said, was Bar Construction Company, and they submitted their good faith effort the same. I want to say it was the same day. So they submitted. Let me pull up their MWB documentation. Second. The formal bid tab does not have their goals on it, but I'll do the calculations and I'll let you all know at the end of the good faith effort review.
Great, thank you.
So beginning here with item A, which is whether or not they attended the pre-bid solicitation. I'll have to rotate this. This is the sign-in sheet, and Austin Riccio from Bar Construction attended that. So for item A, they would receive the full 10-point possible allocation. For item B, this item concerns whether or not where they advertised. Bar Construction utilized Blue Book, which we see very commonly. They've included a screenshot here for that. They've also sent an email to advertising greater diversity, which we've seen before. This is their email requesting that here. And then here is where they send their letter to various government agencies to assist. This would not count for this item. This would count for item H. Because technically they are not advertising with these municipalities. They're requesting that they send them out to their lists, right? They're utilizing them for assistance. And so that would count for item H. So for item B, they would receive credit for 2 areas. So they would receive 5 out of 15 points for that item.
So the full point allocation is worth 15 and they used 2. Do you think 10 would be an appropriate score there, Alex?
Yes. Did I say 15?
Okay. You said 5. I just wanted to make sure.
I'm sorry. No, I meant 10. Sorry. Utilizing 2 out of the 3 is 10 points.
And if I can interrupt here really quick, Alex, so I confirmed the percentages and BAR submitted 6% M and 0% W.
Okay. All right. So for just to be clear, for item B, that was 10 points. For item C, this is where we ask for a look at their invitation to bid to see, how many firms they sent it to. It needs to have a specific description of the work, as well as a location, date, and time of the bid. This is the copy of the list that they sent it to, and then this is their letter. The letter has the scope of work in it. It has a description of the project, the date that bids are due. It has the time to submit them. And let me scroll back up here to the date. This was sent on June 18th, 2021 at 8:22 a.m., 10 days before bids are due. It has a contact down here. And so they would receive the full possible point allocation for this item, which is, get it in front of me. The full possible point allocation for item C is 15 points. So they also have combined some letters because they've also included in here a follow-up that they've sent out. So that's actually for item D, so we can transition right into it. So here, they've sent a follow-up on June 29th. It's 9 days after they sent their initial invitation to follow up with Dunlap Lawn Service, and Dunlap Lawn responded and said they weren't bidding. And then they've actually included all of their responses. That's what this is. And then for item D, what is also required is a telephone log. And so this is a log for who received the email and when it was. And this is expansive. So there are multiple pages here. And so for item D, the full point allocation is appropriate because this list is expansive. They followed up and made sure to have their ducks in a row here. And so it seems like, again, as I've said, they've included the follow-ups down here and the list that they've sent follow-up emails to. They've included their bid again. And so, like I said, for item D, full points are appropriate. For item E, this is about selecting specific portions of work to be performed. This is the description of the work that was included here. And it's all there. So for item E, the full 15 points is appropriate. For item F, explain how you provided interested firms with plan specifications and requirements of the contract. Here, they say, as additional help, BAR Construction has plan specifications and requirements available for review. In the office plan room, after reviewing them, they can provide the documents to you on a CD or paper copy prior to the bid day. And also below that, it says, in order to save you travel money and travel costs, Bar Construction has purchased a membership to isquarefoot.com, which is an invitation vehicle by which you are receiving the invitation, and you can review all the project plans and documents there. So that provides them with equal access. So for item F, the full 10-point allocation is appropriate. For item G, this is where we ask for the quote comparison form. This is their quote comparison form. They received and used MWBE quotes for surveying and utilities. They received WBE quotes for electrical, but they were over, so they went with the lowest quote. Masonry, they received an MBE, but they put a note here that said that they may negotiate with them depending on the AA scope. I'm not sure. Because it says at the top that they weren't sure if they had the full scope on the bid day. And then after that, they put down here the amount of MBE participation and the amount of WBE participation that they will have on this project. So because they included their quote comparison, they would receive the full 25 possible points for this. Are there any questions for item G? Bar Construction is very meticulous. They include all of the quotes that they received as well for this project. Okay, scroll back up here for item H. So here they've emailed, again, this is the email that we saw earlier where they emailed all of the municipalities requesting that they submit, provide help in locating the MWB firms. Normally what we do as the city is we forward their email to our vendor listing. They've put several municipalities on this list. And so I would say that they would receive the 10-point allocation because they've asked multiple municipalities for this same service. So 10 points would be appropriate for item H. And then they also requested a list of subs from me additionally. For item I, this item concerns addressing the needs relative to loan capital or lines of credit or joint pay agreements. In their letter, they say joint pay agreements and the opportunity to rent equipment for Bar Construction is something that they will consider. So this is evidence of offering here. And so providing evidence of offering, and then at the bottom here, it says that they'll modify their pay schedule to meet needs upon submission of a qualified invoice. So this addresses quick pay and not joint pay. So this does not concern this item. They provided evidence of offering, but then here in their note, they say Bar Construction encourages and offers a joint pay agreement to MBE and WBE for any and all subcontractors for Bar Construction. And it says we use a copy of blank forms to be used by subcontractors and sample forms actually used on the job in 2018. And so here is an example of a joint pay agreement that they've used previously. And then down here, they've actually provided evidence of one that they've entered into with someone. So they've provided evidence of both offering and implementation here, which would mean that they would receive the full possible 20 points for item I. They've included additional examples as well. For item J, this item concerns requiring bonding or insurance. In their letter, they said they will provide help with assistance with obtaining bonding or insurance. That's evidence of offering. And then, of course, this letter says if you need assistance with bonding or loan capital lines of credit, contact them and they'll review your needs and direct you to available agencies for assistance. This is a letter from to the attention of Taisha Hinton, who you all know. That is a letter from the insurance agency that says it is the general policy of Bar Construction Company Incorporated with the consent of Bar that Bar Construction requires bonds from subcontractors whose contract price to Bar Construction is in excess of $100,000. Subcontractors to Bar Construction with less than $100,000 are generally not required to post a subcontract bond to Bar Construction. So that is their current policy. If the subcontract is over $100,000, which is not common, which is not too common with these types of projects, then they are not required to submit to post a subcontract bond. And so here, this would provide evidence of implementation. However, if you all are uncomfortable with providing them the full 15 points for implementation because it's not a total waiver, that was certainly appropriate. And then they also say that the joint pay agreement program that Bar Company Incorporated has implemented relieves subcontractors from any need to obtain bonding by Bar Construction Company. Okay, this basically says the same thing. But it also says at the bottom here that Bar Construction Company's bonding company allows Bar Construction to not bond a subcontractor if a joint pay program is being used. So that's sort of an additional note there. Any questions for item J? Item K, they, of course, this says joint venture. They'll consider joint ventures where appropriate, but the amount of points is 0 because they haven't engaged with that before. And that language, of course, is very common, but joint ventures are not common at all with these types of projects. So they would receive 0 points. The last item, which is item L, concerns quick pay, possible 15 points, 5% for offering, 10% for implementation. They say down here that they'll consider modifying the payment schedule to meet people's individual needs on submission of a qualified invoice. Typically, this means inserting a quick pay clause in the subcontract, which allows for 2 billings per month in lieu of 1. Bar Construction Company will modify our payment schedule to meet the needs. This basically says the same thing. Here is their This is a copy of the subcontract for this particular project. So they have a separate biweekly pay request form. If you want quick pay, that's in here, but you have to submit that form. That's what this says. And then this is another copy of a subcontract agreement where it says payments may be made to the subcontractor bi-monthly, provided invoices are received in Bar Construction's office from the subcontractor no later than 7 working days prior to the scheduled date of payment. So that's additional evidence of implementation. They've included their quick payment request form in here as well. Are there any questions about item L? All right, so I don't see the contractor.
Yes, they're not here, and I also reached out to them via email and just tried to call them again to confirm whether or not they're joining the meeting. And I have not received a response. So I'm going to try them one more time, and then if not, we can proceed. Hold on 1 second for me.
Thank you to everyone that submitted your scores already. I appreciate it.
So unfortunately, I'm unable to reach them. I did try the main line as well as email and a direct cell phone, but I was unable to receive a response. So with that being said, are there any additional questions for Alex regarding their good faith effort? Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. And please remember to submit your scores via the links provided in the email by tomorrow by 5 p.m. I also shared with you all our upcoming outreach event on September the 15th for MWBE compliance for professional, general, and other services. So feel free to share that flyer with businesses that you know and who could provide goods and services to the city of Winston-Salem.
Shakira, did that come out already? Did the flyer come to us already?
It did, but I can resend it in case you missed it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right.
And thank you all for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, and thanks, Shakira, for including that MWBE, the oversight report.
Oh, you're welcome.
It looks like there's still some good outreach happening.
Yes, we have not, there may have been 1 month since COVID started that we haven't done an outreach. So we've tried to be consistent, definitely, with continuing our outreach efforts.
Yeah, it looks like, was there an event in July as to the 46? It seemed like that's...
Yes, so it is... Yes, it's for the Cleveland Avenue project. And so I attended their outreach and definitely shared the information about the city's MWBE program with those in attendance. And a lot of the folks who attended that event actually attended our event that occurred last night for hub certification.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Great.
Thank you, Alex, so much as well. We'll definitely miss you as a part of our team.
No problem.
Wait, what? Where was I at? When did that happen?
Yes. So Alex is transitioning to the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Oh.
So yes.
Congratulations, Alex.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye.